Hi guys, it's Carl Allen from Dealmaker Wealth Society. Today I'm sharing another video that's all to do with getting yourself into the top deal making mindset. Last week, if you remember, we talked about my 6-step morning routine that I do every single day to get myself into the peak state of performance. And I'm going to link that video for you in the description below so you can check it out. So today I want to talk about goal setting. And I'm not just talking about writing them on a piece of paper. I'm talking about finding your leverage, the personal motivation that you're going to need to power you through anything in life, but especially when it comes to buying a business. Because you need to clearly define what you want to achieve, why you want to achieve it, and how you're going to get there. So this type of motivation, it's not only critical for deal making, but for any goal that you want to set in your life. Because if you want something badly enough, you will find a way to make it happen if you have a purpose and you have a blueprint for achieving your goals. That's the best way to get you over the finishing line. So I'm going to show you my system. So the system that I use is called RPM, and it's a tool that I learned from my mentor, Tony Robbins. R stands for results focused, P stands for purpose driven, and M, you've guessed it, stands for massive action plan. So RPM is a results focused, purpose driven, massive action plan. And you need all three components in any goal or any result or any outcome that you want to achieve in your life, and it makes it effortless if you follow the principles. So let me take you through it. So R is the result that you're actually committed to achieving. What is the outcome that you need at the end of the process? And it's all about being specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-bound. So we're going to leverage the standard SMART goals framework. So SMART. So when it comes to buying a business, you can't just say, oh, I just want to buy a business. You've got to be as specific as you possibly can be. So you might say, I want to buy a precision engineering business. And you want that business to be doing around $2 million a year in revenues. And let's say you want to take home $150,000, $200,000 a year. And you know that a business like that generally has profit margins of around 10%. So we know if you buy a $2 million revenue precision engineering business, it's going to be generating around $200,000 per year. So after a little bit of debt service, you're going to be easily putting 6 figures into your pocket every single year. And then the next thing that you got to ask yourself is, what's my location? Where do I want to have that business? But before you can answer that, you've got to ask yourself, do I want to be an owner manager? So I want to go into the business every day. And if that's the case, then the business has to be located close to where you live or close to where you want to live. So if you live in Boston and you want to stay in Boston and you want to operate the business every day, then the business has to be within commutable distance for you. But if you want to be an owner investor like me and you don't mind where the business is, you might want to buy a business, say, in Los Angeles or in San Diego. And if you're not running the business every day, you can remote manage that business from Boston, and I'll show you how to do that in another video. So let's say you want to be an owner investor. So you want to be an owner investor, so then that business can be anywhere. It could be anywhere in the world, but let's say you want to stick just to the United States of America. And then let's say you have a passion for the automotive industry. So you want a precision engineering company that's going to make components for sports cars. So you list that down as well. So we've now been very, very specific about what type of business we want to buy. The next thing we've got to look at is M. Can we measure? Well, absolutely. We can measure whether or not we buy that business. So it's measurable. We'll know once we've achieved that outcome or we haven't. A, is it actionable? Well, you'll see through the rest of this process that it's all about taking massive action, which we'll get to in the end. R is Is it relevant? So that comes down to your background, your skills, your experiences. So if you've worked for GE or you've worked for Ford or you've worked for General Motors, you've had some experience in the precision engineering space, especially when it comes to automotive, then yeah, it's going to be an extremely relevant goal for you to achieve. But if you've worked in a hotel or you've worked in a restaurant or you've worked for a web design firm, then you could argue that that result is not realistic. So stay in your lane, and if you're really passionate about a space and you don't have any experience to buy a business today, then just go and partner with somebody that has. And then when you guys combine, when you come together to form the perfect dream team, then you can leverage each other's experiences when it comes to doing this RPM block. And then the next thing that you need to do is time bound. What's the time frame? So if you were in the Dealmaker CEO program, we show you how you can buy a business from the start to the end, from literally a blank sheet of paper to then walking into a business that you now own. We can do it in less than 99 days. So let's say 99 days, and let's say today's the 1st of May 2020, and 3 months, so 1st of June, 1st of July, 1st of August. So let's say by the 10th of August 2020, we're going to own that business. So that is a very specific, very measurable, very action-based, very relevant, very time-bound goal. So now we've defined the result. Now let's go to the P, the purpose. And this is your rocket fuel. So your purpose is all about your why. We all do things or don't do things for a particular reason, one way or the other. So you need to really search inside of yourself now and find out what your purpose is going to be. What's the action? What's the motivation that's going to drive you to take action in achieving this result, this outcome? And it all comes down to why you want to buy a business. And let me tell you, you actually don't want to buy a business. You don't want to own a business. What you want more than anything else are the benefits of business ownership. And those benefits could be legacy. So you want to build a legacy for you and your family and your community by owning a profitable small business that's going to thrive and grow. It could be work-life balance. That could be your purpose. So you might be chained to a job. You might be flying all over the world on planes like I used to be when I was doing deals for HP. You might be at the beck and call of a boss or somebody else, and all your skills or your effort or your time or your energy, everything about you, all that time you put into your job is only lining the pockets of somebody else. And that might make you really angry. And anger is good because it's fuel that's going to give you all this leverage to keep pushing forward to achieve that result. It could be wealth creation. And I'm not just talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars that you're going to earn each year as the owner of that business. I'm talking about potentially generational wealth, because when you buy a business and then you grow it, you pay off the financing and then you sell it, you can easily make multi-seven figures from doing these deals. So that wealth creation might be something that you really, really want for yourself, for your family. You might want to pass it down to your children, even their children. You might want to donate some money to your church or your community and just live a better quality of life. Let me tell you, every time I travel in business class. So I walk onto the plane and I turn left and I go and sit in the big seats, drinking champagne, watching movies and relaxing. There's something really cool about getting on a plane and turning left. So if you're cranking out a couple of $100,000 a year when you own a business and then you build it and you sell it for multi-seven figures, then that's going to give you a cash pile to have some fun and do lots of amazing things. It could also be pride. Pride could be an important thing. It's really, really cool going to the golf club or going to the bar and talking to your buddies and saying, hey, you know what? I'm not an employee anymore. I'm an employer. I'm the head honcho. I call the shots. I woke up this morning. My business was running itself. I didn't have to go into work today. So I went and played golf, and I took my wife out for a beautiful date lunch, and then I went and picked my children up from school, and then I binged on the latest Netflix or whatever. I had a really great day, and now I'm having some fantastic beers with you as my buddies, because I own a business that somebody else runs and operates for me. Remember the result? I own that business. I don't have to work in it. It makes money. It puts money into my bank account every single month. I get an executive salary every month for only a part-time job. And if you own multiple businesses, those salaries can stack on top of each other. It could be ego. A lot of people think ego is a bad thing. I don't, in the right measure. So ego can be a really good thing. It can give you lots of fuel to do lots of really, really cool stuff. So that could be a massive part of your purpose. And you could have all of these different things. One of them, let me tell you, will be the domineering force. For some people, that's legacy. That's why I do what I do. That's why I do a lot of deals. It could be work-life balance for you. It could be wealth. It could be pride. It could be ego. It could be fulfillment. It could be a whole bunch of different things. But you've got to lock these in. And I'll tell you why. Because this is the fuel. This is the rocket fuel that powers everything else. Because think about it for a second. If you want something badly enough, really, truly badly enough, then you're going to take the action, whatever it is. We'll get onto that in a minute to get that result. Let me just tell you a little story. So many, many years ago, I was a chain smoker. So I used to smoke 40, sometimes 50 cigarettes a day. I absolutely stank. I was really fat. I was really unhealthy, but I just couldn't quit. My wife was on me all the time. You've got to quit. You've got to quit. You've got to quit. And I just couldn't have the willpower to do it. And then one day, I'll never forget, I was sat in my office and I had my window open and I'm smoking away and I'm thinking about stuff, and there's a knock at the door and my son Josh comes in. He's 12 now, but at the time I think he was 6.5. And he comes in and I quickly stubbed out the cigarette and I threw it out the window onto some stone so I wasn't going to set anything on fire. And he came in and he was absolutely crying his eyes out. And he says, Dad, I don't want you to die. I'm like, Joshy, what's the problem? I'm fine. Dad is really healthy. He's like, no, you're smoking, and Mum said you're going to smoke and you're going to die, and I don't want you to die, and you're not going to be able to watch me play soccer anymore and take me to school. And let me tell you, I never, ever smoked a cigarette ever again. That was the leverage. That was the purpose. That was the power. That was the rocket fuel that I needed to stop smoking, to stop doing that thing. It wasn't for me. It was for him. I didn't want to see him in pain. And sometimes all we need is that leverage to push us over the line and put us into an unbelievable peak state to get things done. So you need to find your leverage. You need to find that power and that rocket fuel. It's probably one of these things, but it could be something else. Meditate for 10 minutes and think about it. Let your mind kind of spin all these things around and then determine what is that purpose? What is your why? Why do you want to buy and own and benefit from operating or running a small business? That is the key, my friends. You've got to lock that in. And then once you've done that, you've got a result. You know exactly what you want to achieve. You've got your purpose. You know why exactly you want to do it. Then the massive action plan is easy. If you're in the Dealmaker CEO program, you've got all of that stuff laid out for you. It's a 10-step, soup to nuts, A to Z system. But just think about it for a second. What are some of the things that you would want to do to buy and own and run a business? So the first thing that you would need to do is you would need to really kind of articulate your deal specification. So you've done some of that here. That's been in your result, but you'd kind of finesse it a little bit more. You do a little bit more research. What types of precision engineering company in the automotive space do you want? What types don't you want? What sort of customers are you looking for? All those different things. So you'd refine that. The second thing that you might do then is start to generate some deal flow. So you start with deal origination. So deal flow is all about building a funnel and then filling that funnel full of lots of different opportunities. So you might start out with 20, 30, even 50 different businesses. And you can generate those leads from business brokers. You can do direct approach letters. You can do networking. You can call lawyers and CPAs and wealth managers and financiers. You can go on social media, go on LinkedIn, Facebook, and kind of connect with people and get deal flow that way. So there's a whole bunch of different ways you can generate deal flow, and then you'll go and have meetings. So you'll go and meet these sellers, you'll build a rapport, you'll build a relationship, and you'll leave with the numbers about the business, which then you can value the company and then potentially structure a deal. You can see from the balance sheet how much financing is potentially available. That's going to tell you how much of a closing payment you can make. And then from the numbers, you'll know how profitable the business is. How much cash flow is it going to throw off every year before you grow it to A, pay the seller to buy the business. That's called seller financing. And then B, pay yourself. And then once you've done that, it's all about making offers and then negotiating those offers. And then once you've shook hands on a deal, then it's all about the closing. So it's all about getting a contingent fee CPA to do your due diligence, a contingent fee lawyer to draw up the paperwork, let them do that work, get your financing on board, whether it's asset-based financing, whether it's the SBA, whether it's equity investors, doesn't matter what it is. You go and you solicit that financing, you get the term sheet, and then you let the deal close, and then you can walk in and you can take ownership of that business. So that's it, my friends. RPM, results focused, purpose driven, massive action plan. Start off with a very, very specific result that you can achieve, that's massively time bound, as detailed as you can possibly get it. And then the key to this, define your purpose, define your why. Get that leverage over yourself, get that fuel, get that purpose, get that energy into this goal, into this process, because that is going to keep you going. If you hit a roadblock, times get a little bit sticky, you run out of energy, and you're thinking, oh, you know, why am I doing this? Should I go and do something else? No. If that purpose is strong enough and powerful enough, you will keep going through this process, because once you've got that, and once you've got that, that is easy. If you want something badly enough, if you will not stop, if you are 1000% committed to achieving that goal, because all that purpose and all that fuel is locked in, you will find a way, my friends. If you're in Dealmaker CEO, we've got it all mapped out for you. But nail those two, that is easy. You'll find a way. Nothing will stop you. You'll leap over every hurdle. You'll smash down every single barrier. So that is my RPM process for buying a small business using other people's money. So that's all I have for you today on Goal Setting with Power. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like the video, please subscribe to our channel and like this video. We upload new videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we're always sharing plenty of tips and tools for you every week. And if you're ready to take the next step forward towards your first deal, then I've got a really special gift for you. It's in the description below. It's a link to my business buying blueprint. It's completely free. It's how to own an established, profitable business in under 99 days using none of your own money. So get your free copy underneath by clicking on the link, and thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys soon. Until then, bye for now.